I've dummied it down, simple minds, simple concepts, but in 3 or 4 minutes, anytime my brother-in-law or someone comes up and gives me an idea, this is what I do in my mind. First one, what I call barriers to entry, the center box. How difficult would it be for someone else to come up with that idea? Barriers to entry that are good are things like patents, things like intellectual knowledge, things like first mover in the market. A bad example would be soda pop. Anyone could take soda pop, put sugar water in their sink, stir it up, and you have soda pop, right? So soda pop is a bad barrier to entry. This concept, let's give you how difficult would it be for other people to do that? There's probably going to be some fairly significant financial hurdles to get into that and to create it. There's definitely some intellectual hurdles to overcome it. And then the big one is going to be the distribution of it. So if you have those covered, and I assume you will, I will give that one a plus. The next one is suppliers. Can I go to my suppliers and negotiate a better price? Could I go to the people who are providing me the metal or the wood or whatever I'm going to do with the tires and negotiate a better price? Probably not. So I'm going to give that a minus, but not a strong minus, just kind of a weak minus. How about buyers? If I put that together, do I have ability to charge a premium? This is an important one for me. My response to that would be yes. If I had jet skis, that would be really cool if I could actually launch it out there and come dock on the little thing and eat my sandwich while I'm jet skiing. So I would say you can charge a premium for that. So we give that one a plus. The next one, substitutes. Are there other substitutes for this? No. It's a normal trailer or a dock. So substitutes, you get a plus on that one. What about potential entrants? How intense is the competition in this space? Coke and Pepsi, they spend 30 to 40% of their marketing or their budget on marketing and advertising. So that's a real minus, isn't it? But something like this, it's not like you see bloodbaths on it, so you get a plus there. Now, this is a rich bonus ad. 3 out of 4 companies I have failed have been because of this one. This is the channel. Do you have a way to get this to market? Do you have a way to get that out? Do you have associations with a boat dealership or a place to get to market? You'd have to network. So the answer to that is no. I will never move forward on a business until I get the channel positive. So if you figure that one out, I think you actually got a pretty good business. So just in a quick little calculation, we gave him a 3 plus. Did we give him 3 plus or 4? 3 or 4, 1 minus, and 1. You better figure that out before you start it. So you, let me make the first $100 contribution to your trailer business. Good luck with that. It's actually not a bad idea at all. You may need venture capital, so that freaks me out a little bit. All right, so we talked about cow pies. I'm just going to real quickly go through the cow pies, and then I'm going to try giving you guys some QA. Cow pies are the things that you step in that you don't want to step on. I was back in New York and dropped the cow pie word, and they looked at me like, where are you from, Beaver, Utah or something? And I said, yeah, actually I am. So cow pies are not like apple pies. You do not want to participate in cow pies. What are they? I mentioned them already. There's 4 critical ones. The first is cash flow. More small businesses fail because of cash flow and not timing their cash in any other thing. There's one part of my business I will never turn over, and it's the finances. Every time I have, I've failed. And it's primarily to watch your cash flow. When's money coming in? When's money going out? Can't get upside down. Second one, it's your terms. So many people, when they're first starting, get all sideways on negotiating a big payout. And you know what? If you get your money, and it's kind of related to cash flow, if you get your money in, but it's like 90 days, and you get sideways with having to pay and receive, I have all sorts of problems. When I negotiate a contract, more than the price, I focus on the terms. I actually shoot for 7-day terms on most of my contracts, particularly in the early stages. But certainly do not drag your terms out. The next one is stability. If you have one source of tires for your trailers and one source of metal for your trailers and that company goes out of business, you're in trouble. If you have one client, you're in trouble. So first thing we did in Castlewave, after I got the Warner Music contract, I went out and got S&K, and then I went and got eMusic, and I went and diversified to get a base of suppliers. If 40 or 50% of your revenue comes from one customer, you're vulnerable. The last one, I like to tell a story, and I think it's particularly appropriate in today's world that we live in. And I've seen a lot of people die of this, and I like to tell, again, a climbing story. Back in 2001 or 2000, my wife and I and a brother-in-law were climbing the Pfeiffer Horn. The Pfeiffer Horn is an extremely difficult mountain to climb, particularly in the winter. And it can be pretty dangerous, and we're pretty avalanche savvy, pretty snow savvy. We're cutting ice blocks as we go up the mountain, making sure the conditions aren't bad, making sure we're not going to get crushed in a slide or something. And we get all the way up there. I'm so excited because very, very few people actually get to the top of this summit. And we got up to the ridge line, and then this is actually me, you see, going across what's called the knife's edge, and got about into right there, and was so excited. My brother-in-law and I looked at each other and said, man, let's go knock this thing off. Meanwhile, Gay kind of waited for us. And so we started just pounding up the final 400 feet of descent on this thing. Got about right there, looked down and saw complete sheets of ice falling off the mountain, off those cliffs right there. That's like 3,000 feet straight down. That's 2,000 feet straight down. And I says, I'm going to die. I was sure that I was going to die at that point. Luckily, we didn't finish the summit. We got on our hands and knees and crampons and ice axe and proceeded to wiggle our way down. It took us like 3 hours. We got back down. And that night, as I came off the mountain, my head was hanging pretty low. And I realized that there had been times in business that I had done the same thing as I had done right there. When I got to that new environment spot right there, I failed to assess my environment. I failed to cut an ice block and check and see, is this stable? Can I still go up it? So many people fail to assess their environment. Right now is not a time, guys, to be playing hardcore in the banking industry. It's kind of unstable. Real estate, a lot of money to be made there, but you know what? You better be really, really careful. And I had a lot of friends that got caught up and they got swept off and slid off. Uh-oh, went the wrong way. They went off the cliff, financially went into bankruptcy because they failed to assess their condition financially. So particularly when things get really teetery, you got to continually be looking at the environment, looking for the warning signals, and don't climb it if it's unstable. Now, I'm not one that believes it's a bad environment. I'm excited. For us entrepreneurs, this economy right now is like Disneyland. Disneyland on steroids, because there's opportunities all over the place because everyone else has parked their car alongside the freeway and we have the chance to zip past them as they're sitting there moaning and belittling, whining. But it's certainly a time that you have to be really careful. So in conclusion, people are always asking me, okay, what's the one thing I have to do to be a successful entrepreneur? I can't come up with but I can come up with three. The first is an unalterable determination, grit, don't die, not willingness to quit, and just deciding that you're going to succeed. Now, it has to be coupled with an interesting mindset because there's times that you have to shift direction. But overall, the concept of not being willing to quit is critical to succeed. The second is an undeviating support system. I talk in the book and I say, there's three very important people in your life. And then I say, number one, your accountant, number one, your attorney, and number two, your spouse. At what point Gay gets angry at me and says, wait a minute, they didn't have to risk everything, and when did they put their paycheck on? And I say, you're right. So the most important thing indeed is an undeviating support system. Now that doesn't have to be a spouse, but you need to make sure that you have someone that you can go to when you're battle weary and wounded that will support you and stand with you, because it is not for the weak-kneed. Entrepreneurship has a lot of moments where you get wobbly-kneed and you need that support system. And then the last one I alluded to already, that's a greater purpose. If you're working to drive a BMW or to have a lot of cash, it's going to be a long, tough go. You have to get something that inspires, that's bigger and greater than yourself. I have a great passion in young women in third world countries. The thought of helping educate young women in third world countries inspires me, it motivates me, and it allows me to go forward, oftentimes through very difficult circumstances. So I mentioned, I'm going to back that off for 1 second so I don't have to talk over myself. I mentioned earlier that I've been a little bit troubled with the stimulus plan that the government's put in place, and I believe that intellectual capital is far more important than financial capital, although we did contribute $100 there today.